A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and educators all around the world. How are you all doing? Well, welcome to the GEG Epic Weekend, and this is Staying Connected 4.0. Um, we all know how our education system has evolved entirely. From a traditional classroom, we have gone embedding digital, and now we have gone just entirely digital, thanks to COVID 19, of course. And to some of you educators, this may be a yay, we have finally gone digital. And for some of you, this may be like, oh no, do I need to start learning all this? How am I going to manage? Those kind of things. Fret not, this weekend is specially dedicated to all you educators, all of us who are willing to learn, to improve, and to see what would be the other better ways we can to make our classes exciting, to make us educators more excited. And today, my session is going to be for all the educators that is just beginning to explore. Don't worry, this is for the newbies. I'm going to go as slow as I can. And it's not going to be technical at all. This is going to be basics for you. But just before anything and before I introduce myself, do allow me to share my slide and we can continue to explore our sessions together. All right, so today I am going to share to you about going Google with your classroom. Let's Google your classroom. And again, thank you so much to GEG EPAC for this platform. Indeed, an amazing platform. It has been an amazing lineup of sessions since yesterday. To all of you who have been with us, this is definitely one that you all will be looking forward to. Okay, so if you have missed out any sessions, don't worry, you can get in touch with us or with any one of your educator friends for the list of other upcoming sessions for today and tomorrow. Okay, so let me introduce myself. I am Sasikala Kobalakrishnan, and this is all the way from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I am a mathematics and additional mathematics middle and high school teacher. I teach the middle and high school students. I have been using Google Apps for education for many, many years now. And I also train teachers under Ruma Code, and I also run trainings among schools and students as well. I love exploring new educational tools, and that brings me to why I am here today. I would like to just share one of the educational tools I feel is very friendly and it's very easy to master. So, to any one of you who feel like I am not an ICT person, please leave me out of this. Believe me, Google Classroom might just be the one that opens up your excitement to explore further. Okay, we are talking about Google Classroom, but why? Why is it so convenient? Why is everybody speaking about Google Classroom? Let me just give you a few pointers before I explore it with you. Now, Google Classroom, it's free. What else do we need? It is free. If you are a teacher or a student under your Ministry of Education, you definitely have a Ministry of Education related Google account, which is an educational account, and that gives you a free access to Google Classroom. And when you say Google Classroom, it simply means you are going paperless. Imagine in this era where COVID has hit us so badly, if we need to carry all our students' exercise books every time we give them exercise and then return it back to them and then do the postage job and everything, that would be such a hassle, isn't it? So Google Classroom is definitely making it all easy because it is paperless. And when you say paperless, as a teacher, as an educator, you are able to see real-time progress of your classes and students. That means you'll be able to track how much you have covered with your classes and how much more you need to do with your classes, how many students are with you and how many students are left out and things like that. So this will really give you a management of your classroom digital. Right? Right. What else? What else is nice about Google Classroom? Google Classroom, it will be an auto save concept. Okay, so there will be no more of that, teacher, I didn't save it in my pen drive, so I really don't have it now with me, excuses anymore. This is all cloud based, so it will be auto saved for you. It is such an easy tracker for an educator as well as for your students, because they too can keep record and track of what they have prepared, what they have submitted, and things like that. Right, what else? What makes Google Classroom this convenient? Google Classroom can also be accessed through the Google Classroom app, which means if you're busy doing something else after your lessons and yet you need to keep track with whatever your students have submitted, or you want to update your classroom on how many students have submitted their work, you can just access through the Google Classroom app and you'll be able to see everything that you see through your lappy. So that is so easy, isn't it? Before you go to bed, you can do an assessment check. Before you go for your breakfast, you can do your assessment check. It is like it is so available to you through the apps. All right, next up, like I told you, because you have the apps as well as you have Google Classroom, you'll be able to track your students' assignment individually and per class. So you will know, in my class of 40 students, how many of my students are keeping up with the tasks I've done, I've given, I've assigned them, and how many of them are actually able to cope up. All that will be able to be tracked by the assignment method, which I will cover later in my hands on. And the other amazing thing about Google Classroom is Google actually allows teachers the freedom to differentiate your lesson. Now, how is that? You are able to select your students when you assign specific tasks. So if you have got students who are more advanced and you want to give them more higher order thinking skill questions or problem solving questions, then you will be able to actually assign that set of students questions appropriate to their level. Whereas when you have students who are a little weaker or a little more, they need more attention, they need more time from you, they need more exercise or drills on the topics that you have taught, then you can do the same for this set of questions. So this actually allows differentiating your lessons to your students. The next thing that is exciting about Google Classroom is you will be able to involve parents or guardians, as you can submit reports of your students' involvements and tasks completed to them directly. And I will also show you how to go about this later in my session. All right, why else is Google Classroom convenient? Google Classroom actually allows communication between teachers and students, also amongst students. Now, if you see Google Classroom later on, you will notice that we have a stream just like your Facebook wall. And this stream allows teachers to give instructions to students or share materials, and students can comment on the materials shared. Our students can also be elected to contribute posts in the stream, and I will show you exactly how to go about that. That is exciting, isn't it? So it is not just a place where you post up assignments and it's like a wall of silence. No, not at all. It is a place where you can have a two-way communication, and that is vital in this era where everything has gone digital. You have to still bridge the relationship between the teachers and the students. This is really important. Also, Google Classroom gives you access to all other Google apps for education. You can access Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, Google Forms. Everything else that is available in the Google apps for education is right there when you explore Google Classroom. Now that we have seen why Google Classroom is so convenient, is so essential, and it's a must for everybody to explore, shall we just go on to the hands-on? Okay, let me share the other screen before I do that. And I hope everybody's doing fine and well wherever you are. If you are doing well, just drop by a comment, tell me that you're doing good and that we are good to go. Let's start exploring. And again, I am not at all going to go technical. This is for all the educators who are beginners. So I'm going to take it slow. I'm going to keep it really, really easy for you to understand. And if there's any question, just drop it in the chat and I'll come back to that as soon as I can. All right. Allow me to share my screen on my classroom. Well, if you type classroom.google.com, you will be able to see this classroom feature. All right. I am giving you a look into my real time classroom. And this is how my real time classroom looks. This is an official account as me as an educator in my school. So there are many classes that I have. There are many more bought in below. And I'm not going to go one by one. But this is how the surface of Google Classroom will look. All right. It's really pretty, and you have all your classes arranged in a grid. Okay, you can personalize all this. Let me go there later. Okay, and what is there on the right hand side corner is to indicate this account belongs to whom, and this account definitely belongs to me because I am presenting. You can change this Google account to any other account, but like I said, if you are holding a Google for Education account, then that allows a free access to Google Classroom. So make sure you're logged in into that. And this is all the other Google apps for education that you can use while you're using Google Classroom. It will directly bring you here, right? All of this, all of this. We are not going to explore how to use this as for now because my session is not covering this. But when we have other chances or maybe other sessions later might share further on how you can incorporate all the Google apps for education in your Google Classroom. Well, if you see there's a plus sign over here, this is where I as an educator or you as an educator will click for you to create a classroom. These are all classrooms created by me. And if you're a student or if you're a participant into a different class, say perhaps the teacher's training of your community is going to have a session on digital classroom and you would like to join into that session, then all you have to do is get the classroom code from them and then you join them. So you assume yourself as a student in that class. But for now, I'm going to share with educators on how you start your classroom. All right. So we are going to create a class here that is really that simple. I'm going to just name this as Google Classroom Test. So I know this is a test class that I'm preparing just for our session. You can add on section if you want to. It's not compulsory. You can add on subject if you want to. This too is not compulsory. And you can add specific room if you want to. This is also not compulsory. How do I use this? If you want to have a differentiated class for your students, then you can use this. For instance, you put room 1 for the advanced students, and you put room 2 for the media core, and you put room 3 for the very below average students. And then you can create individual classes, and you only share that classroom code to that particular group of students. Totally your choice. It's your freedom. Okay. But say you do not want to make it all technical, you want to just create one class for all your students, then fine. You don't have to add on any room. You just give your class a name and then you create. Just give it a while it's creating. All right. It'll just take a few seconds for it to take place. There you go. Your Google Classroom is now ready. Now, if you notice, this is the same interface I will see in all my other classes. You see this sandwich bar on the left? When I click on this, I can actually shift to all my other classes anytime while I'm working on my Google Classroom test. So just say while I'm doing this, I want to go to a different class. I can just click on that. It will come back here to this particular class I've chosen. And don't worry, your Google Classroom test has not gone missing. It is just here in your sandwich bar. Okay. You can go back to the classes where you see the grid, and you will notice the classes that you just created will be on the top, right? If you can't see it there, I mean, if you don't know how to go about that, you will see it under the list here. Okay, and you see it's again on the top because I've just created the class. Okay, what does this review function do? Calendar is for you to set reminders, set classroom invitations and everything in your Google Calendar. But what does you use that if you want to, yeah, it's not really compulsory. What does this function to review do? Okay, for instance, I would like to review how my classes are doing. This gives you a total summary of all your classes. But say I would like to choose a particular class. For instance, I'm going to go to this class. This will really show me how many assignments I've given, because this was a batch that has completed school. So I'm just using this class as the students are no longer in school. These are all the assignments assigned. These are all the assignments graded, and all that report will be right here in review. Okay. All right, let's go back to my classroom now. I'm going to go back to my Google Classroom. Now that you have created your classroom, you will need to share the classroom code to your students. But just before you share, if you like to personalize this classroom, you can do that. You see, the theme that is used here, say you're not so much of a blue person. I want to make it look a little more reddish or yellow or what so not. You have two options to do that. You have select theme and you have upload photo. Okay, let's have a look at the select theme. Okay, so I have the general category. Yeah. You have English and history. Okay. You have math and science. You have arts. Right. There you go. You have sports. And you have others. All right. For you to choose from. And I think these choices are really good enough for me. But if you want to personalize further, you can also choose any from your own photos in your computers or your laptop. All right. I'll just show you how to go about that. But let me just choose something related to our session today. I'm going to choose this because it's related to digital classroom. So I'm going to choose that. If you like to upload a personalized picture, then you can do this. Go to upload photo. Just select a photo from your computer and then select the class theme. It will appear here, just as I've done it earlier. All right. So this is if you want to make your classroom a little bit more personalized before you share it with your students. Now, how to go about sharing? There are a few methods. The very easy or the very direct method is, say you're running a Google Meet session and you have opened the class and you want your students to come in right then when you're conducting the Google Meet class. The class code is right here on the left-hand side corner. You can just display the code and your students will just have to type in this code at the plus sign that I've showed you earlier. I will show you back in just a bit. All right. Right. So this is the Google Classroom code. Now, if you can also copy the invite link, all right, the link copied, and you can share it with your students via email or their WhatsApp group or personalized numbers and things like that. Okay. So there are that two options as well. Say you get a class code which has got ambiguity cases, such as a capital I and a small l will look so close to each other, right? So your students probably key in the wrong code and not get an access to your classroom. So say you do not like the class code that has been generated. All you have to do is you can go to the settings, which is that wheel on the right. This will display your class name that you have set much earlier, all right? The subject. These are the few general settings of your Google Classroom. Right, inviting codes. Turn on is to allow students get the code and join your class. If you turn it off, then your students won't have access to enter the class. But if you do not like that class code for some reason whatsoever, then you can just reset the class code and it will generate a new one. I hope you got that. Let me just do that one more time. You see, this is the current class code. Say I'm also not happy with this. Let's just go reset that again. You see, that has changed. And every time you just change this, just click the invite link and share it with your students, and they will be able to join you or share or display that class code while you're conducting your class. All right? Good so far. I hope everybody's doing well. Just let me know that you're doing well, and I'll be able to follow you through the chat. Okay, right. What else can we do? If you notice, you have something called the stream. Now, what is the stream? Now, let me just take you back to my class setting. Okay, this is your stream. Just like how we have on our Facebook, we have the wall for you to express, for you to comment, for you to post, things like that. It's the same with our stream. As an educator, you can post announcements, assignment notifications, or new bulletins for your classes or your clubs and things like that. And students will be able to read it on your stream. Now, when you are posting something, you also have the authority on what your students are able to do. Let's just go back to the setting for me to explain this further. Okay, now this is your stream. You have three options. If you want to allow your students to post and comment, this is possible if you are a class teacher, for instance, and you want to involve your classroom students in deciding on who should be the class monitor or who should we elect as your class committee, for instance. Then you can allow your students to post and comment. Or if it's more of a subject related classroom and you want students to get only information from that classroom, not allowing them to post anything or to contribute to giving any materials to the class, then you can set the second option, which is for students to comment only. And the other third option, if this is going to be a little bit more of a formal classroom, if this is, for instance, a prefectorial board and you want to make it purely for announcements reasons, then you can also just keep it to the teachers being able to post or comment. The choice is yours, all right? So what do I normally do in my classroom? If it's a subject-based classroom, I allow my students to post and comment, because sometimes we assign students to do projects or flipped classroom videos. So they will be able to post their videos up forward, or their materials up front, and their classmates will be able to view them, read them, and give comments. And this will actually build a very positive communication amongst the students. And you, as the teacher, obviously, before you start off any of this kind of posting and commenting, make sure you educate your students on digital ethics, on how do you actually apply cyber ethics while they are in any digital platform. That is really important. All right, so that is about stream and classwork on stream. Okay, let me just take you to my real classroom streams, okay, so you can see what I mean. Right, this is a mathematics class which I have got a lot of announcements going on here, and I also have got informations and things like that. Now, if this is too much for me, because when students are reading streams, if you have got your assignment announcements as well as your task announcement, they might get confused or they might just miss out on any. So what you need to do is go over to the setting, go back to classwork on the stream. Show condensed notification means everything that happens in the classroom is shared on the stream. That means your attachments, your informations, your announcements, everything that happens in your classroom will be shown on the stream. If you do not want that to happen, then all you have to do is hide notification. When you hide notification, it will only show you all the announcements made by the educators of the class or the collaborators in the classroom. All right, let me just save that and show you how it looks now. Now you see my stream is shortened because these are all the announcements of the class. All right, so again, this is totally up to you. If you do not want to crowd the stream of how your students view the class, then you can keep it simple and hide notification, because when we go to assignment or you go to the classwork tab, they will be able to see the classwork assigned to them anyways. So you do not really want to ambush the stream, all right? Keep it simple so students know exactly where to find information and where to find classwork. So I'm going to go back to this because this is a collaborated class with other educators. So everybody gives in information, so I'm not going to disturb on this. Okay, now I'm going to save that. Make sure whatever changes you do, you save, all right? If you do not save that, it goes back to the original setting that you have placed. I'm going to go back to our Google Classroom test class, and I'm going to go further on that setting. If there's anything else, I want to share it with you. Okay, again, so classwork on the stream, if you want to not show this, I'm going to just keep it as hide notification. Show deleted items. If you as an educator would like to view what deleted items has taken place in this class, then you can on this function, or else you can just keep it down. Guardian summaries, you can see example. Okay, I'm going to show you what do the guardians see, but before that, let me just go through this one last time before I go to the other surface. Okay, now Meet, you are able to actually generate a Meet link for your Google Classroom as well. So all you have to do is you just click on generate Meet link, and make sure you allow that when you generate, it will auto allow visibility to your students. All right, so anytime they want to come and join your class, they will just have to click that same link. All right. Okay, grading and all that, I'll do it using my real classroom. I'm going to save all these changes, and I hope everybody who's with me at the moment, you're doing good and you're with me. All right, so that is the basic layout of your Google Classroom stream. Okay, you can make it as personalized as you want. Now let's move on to people. Okay, now that you've invited your friend, your students, okay, or your collaborators, other educators that you will want to allow to collaborate in your class. Collaborate meaning they share materials, they too share announcements or tasks to your students. This could happen if you have got classes that is run by two teachers, for instance, or you choose to collaborate between two mathematic teachers in your classroom to run that particular class. Different expertise will be bringing in different skills to be taught to your students. So you can add teachers here. When you click on inviting teachers, all you have to do is, if you have them in your system already, you can type out their name or just type out their email ad, and that will appear here. I will show you from the real classroom I have after this. And for you to add on students, if you do not share class code to your students, they won't be able to join in the class. But you can add students. You can choose to select which students you want to add in your classroom. Like I said, if you're going to have a particular classroom for all the advanced students, then probably you do not want to invite all 40 students of that class. You only want to invite that 5 to 6 students who are able to do advanced questions. So for these students, then you can type out the email of that students and invite them to join this class. So this will be a more personalized class for that group of students. All right. Or if you have a WhatsApp group or an email of all these advanced students, or a Telegram, perhaps a Telegram for all these advanced students group, you can also share the invite link there. Okay. All right. Now that is about people. Let me take you to a real live classroom on how this will look if I've added some students in it. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go to this classroom again. Okay, now let's just have a look at this. These are the collaborators of the classroom. That means I have with me a friend of mine who's collaborating in this classroom, and both of us will have the authority to share materials or assign tasks to the students. And as for the students, in this class, I have a total of 18 students. And I will be able to invite the guardians or the parents of each of these students, provided if I have the emails of those guardians. And this is a process where educators actually ask permission from the guardians if they would like to be notified or informed about their kids' progress in class. Most parents would be really happy to have this done. But there are certain parents who do not wish to be updated this way, so you might not want to include them in inviting guardian here. I have a student here who I have invited parent from their permission, of course. And if you notice, every one of the tasks done by the student, missing means she did not turn in the task, okay? Or she did turn in a task and the task was scored as 11 or 16. The guardian will be able to see all of this of the student. So the guardian will be able to see the progress of this child. And for me, it's pretty important for parents to know this is evidence that your child is attending digital classroom and she's involving and she's actually completing tasks given to her or him. Okay, so that is how you go about inviting guardians, and also how do the guardians see the progress of their children. Okay, now let's go to grades before I go to how to assign classwork. Let's go to grades. I'm going to go back to another classroom for me to show you how this is done. Okay, wait, before that, let me show you how the review of the grades will be. Okay, say this is the classroom earlier. This is how the grades will look overall. Okay, it will really tell me in depth which students have sent in, which student did not send in, which one graded, which one sent in late. All of this information will be here in my grades. Okay, I will also show you later on how to grade a student's work. Okay, all right, now let's move on to assigning simple tasks to your students. I think this is the most vital and important part the educators will be seeking for. Because like I said, Google Classroom is where you can check on the progress of your class and your students. So you really want to know on how to do this classwork. Okay, so the classwork interface will be just like this. This is an empty class, so there's no assignments given yet. And you can be really as creative as you want when you are working on managing your classwork. Okay, I will share with you later a class and how it would look when you systematically arrange your classwork. All right, now if you want to create a classwork for your student, you have a few options here. You can create an assignment. You can create a quiz and assignment. A quiz assignment would mean you go over using the Google form. You can post the question to your students, or you can share materials, or you can also reuse posts that you have posted. Say, for instance, you have taught a topic in January and you want to do a revision of that in March. You might want to repost the material that has been given to your students earlier of the year, and you can just choose to repost it and allow students to revisit the materials that you have shared with them way back. And you can also manage your classroom assignments by giving them topics. Topics could be in the name of weeks, for instance. I want to arrange my materials according to week 1 to week 2, for instance. Or you want to go according to month. This is the task done in January. These are all the tasks done in February. Or you want to go based on topics. That is all here. All right, let me just show you how that would look in a normal classroom. Okay, let me just take you over to yet another classroom. Okay, a classwork here. This is how a classwork of this class looks like. So I have categorized the topics according to topic titles. I didn't go according to weeks. I've gone according to topic titles. So because I feel it's easier for students to look for their materials, to revisit their tasks, to read up on the notes or slide share. So you can actually do this, or you can also just put them in weeks, totally up to you. Okay, what you can see when you actually have a classwork is, for instance, this is the work I have posted yesterday. All right, it will show you how many students has this been assigned to and how many has turned in the work. This is where you check the progress of your students. You'll be able to see, okay, so I have submitted this work yesterday and thus far nobody has attempted this work. So I know this class hasn't done my work yet. But that is where you play a role. You set a due date for your task. You tell your students, okay, this task needs to be completed by Monday, 9 a.m., for instance. So I cannot go jumping on them for not completing my work because my due date is given till Monday. So if they are not completed till Monday, it's still fine. But by Monday, when I set a due date and they have not completed, I will be able to see how many turned in, how many attempted, and how many did not even have a look at the assignment, right? Cool, isn't it? Okay, now let's just see. Let me just show you. Okay, for instance, this is another task. You see, I have assigned it to the same 13 students, but 11 has not turned it in. So they probably would have completed the task, but if they do not turn it in, then teachers, we educators won't be able to see. Okay, all right, let me just keep that aside and help you to see how easy it is to create an assignment in a classwork. Okay, right, go to a classwork. I'm going to create a very, very simple assignment. Now when I create assignment, I click on assignment. Literally first you give it a topic based on whatever you're teaching. Okay, I'm going to just keep it as Google Classroom test 1. Okay, instruction is where you as an educator tell them exactly what you want them to do. For instance, you are sharing a Google slide. You want students to actually read on the notes given on the slide and then attempt a question that you have prepared in a quiz, for instance. Then you do just that. You just do that. You write in an instruction, please read up the notes on the Google slides given and do a summary of the story narrated in the notes, for instance. Okay, so let your students read let them know exactly what you want them to do, and then you can choose to bold. If you want to say read up on the notes, make sure this is bold. Okay, you want to highlight that this is important, and you want to highlight the next thing that you want them to do, summary of the story narrated, for instance, so they know this is the task they need to do, not just read. I need to read and summarize, so they will know this is the task I need to complete. Okay, now this is the exciting part. Now you have this add-on functions here. You can add a file from Google Drive, which means when I press on Google Drive, it will show all the files that I have visited recently, or you can upload from your lappy, your computer, your desktop, or you can visit your drive and choose the folder you have your materials in, or you have a shared drive that you want to go in and check for materials and things like that. Okay, so your materials can come from Google Drive, or you can also share link. This is for instance, you would like to share an online games to your students, then you can share a link from the online game post, or a website, or any reading materials that you have seen online. You can share that via link, right? Or you can also go on to share a file. Now this is possible by you opening any recent files that you have explored. Okay, uploading files from your desktop lappy again, or from your drive, or from your shared drive. All of this, okay, any one of this, you can actually insert a file. Or you can also insert a YouTube video. For instance, I want my student to watch a video before class and summarize what they have seen in the video. So you can add on a video, or you can search for a video. For an instance, I'm going to look for digital classroom tools. So you will get all the options that is in the top search of the YouTube, and you'll be able to select any of this. So for instance, say, this is okay, digital tools for teaching, and this was uploaded in June 2021. So probably the most important, the most recent video. But if you notice, this is 14 minutes. When you assign YouTube videos to your students, you will also have to see whether your students are accessible for a lengthy video. So you're able to view exactly when the video was posted, how long is the duration of the video, before you select an appropriate video for your student. Okay, so this is an 11 minutes video, but this is March 26. Okay, I'm just going to go just see what is most recent. For instance, this is 2020. Okay, let's go down a little. I saw a July just now from 2021. This is way back. Okay, this is February 2021. October 7, November 2021. Okay, 8 minutes. This looks a little animated. Okay, maybe something my students will love to watch. So I'm going to just select this video and I'm going to add that in. Okay, it's an 8 minutes video and it looks animated. If you do not want this video, do not fret, do not worry. You can just click on the cancel. As long as you do not assign this to your students won't be able to see this just yet. Okay, so if you're not happy with this video, or if you want to add on more videos, you can just go back to add and repeat the same steps over and over again. Or else, if you have a URL for your YouTube, then you can just type in or paste in the URL of that video from the YouTube video you've seen, and you can just add that in, and you can see it appear under the first video that you have pasted. All right, so again, if you're not interested to have this video, just click this off. Okay, now what else can you do when you're setting assignment for your students? All right, this will allow me to see all students only, because in this classroom I only have myself. So I'm just going to go ahead and assign this and show you from a real classroom how I can select students. Let me assign that. Right, let me go over to my classroom. Okay, say I want to do an assignment here. Okay, I'm going to give them the same assignment, Google Classroom test. I know since I am the one who's managing this account, I will be able to delete this task before my students see it, or I can actually do a later a delayed assigning. Okay, I'll explain exactly what that is. Okay, again, please read and whatever I want them to do. Add a video, for instance, whatever video that I saw just now, digital classroom. Okay, I'm not going to find any. I'm just going to add any video that's popping up. Okay, now have a look here. You can assign this to one class or to as many class as you want. I can choose to assign to all my Form 5 classes, all my 10th grade classes. Okay, for instance, I can just choose all my Form 5 classes. For instance, I want to give this class, this class, this class, this class. All of these classes are going to get this material, for instance, because this is a general material on Google Classroom. Okay, so I can do that. Or if you do not want any other class to have it, then you just don't have to click on any of these classes. Remain it to the classes that you want. So this is a very, very friendly approach. This what makes Google Classroom amazingly awesome, because this allows you to not just work on your particular class, you can go across classes. All right, and this is the exciting part. This is where you can do differentiated teaching and learning. Okay, you see, all students, like earlier in my classroom that I've done for our session today, I'm the only student there, so it shows all students. But when you actually go over to a real classroom, you will be able to see whether you want to send this to all students, or if you want to send this to particular students, you will then take this off and you will be able to view which students you would like to assign this classwork for. Do you want to select this student, this student, this student, for instance, or you want to add more students? Is totally up to you. What happens when you select selected students? Only these students will get your assignment. Okay, if you want it for all students, again, just click on that and that will assign to the entire class. All right, points. You want to keep this as whatever points you're allocated for the task. For instance, it's probably a 10 question worksheet. So maybe you want to allocate 2 points for a question and making it as 20 marks for the worksheet, or you want to go 50 marks for the worksheet. It's totally up to you. Okay, right, due date. This is important, I feel, because this is where you can access how many students are moving parallel with you. So you can set a due date. Click on the due date. This will open up a calendar. You can set when you want this to be done, and you can place a time for it. That is optional. But normally what I will do is I would place a time to create urgency amongst your students. All right. Okay, so that's the due date. So I'm going to leave it as it is. Thursday, 11:59. Okay, you can choose topic. For instance, I have this task. I'm going to allocate this task in a particular topic. I can choose the topic, or if I do not want a topic, I can just leave it as it is. Okay. Okay, rubric is when you're trying to create auto mark using a Google Sheet, for instance, you will create a rubric and all that. But today we're not going in depth in this. So this will be to be explored later, right? If there's any opportunity for me to share further on Google Classroom technicality, then maybe we can go in depth on how to create rubrics and all. Okay, now we have done all the settings that is necessary, and now I can assign to my students. But this is what I said, you can assign it right away. Okay, you can assign it right away. That means the moment I say assign, my students will be able to see it in their classroom. Or I can schedule this assignment to a different date. Now, how do I go about that? When I choose schedule, again, my calendar pops up. I can choose if I want to assign this today or Monday, and what time do I want to assign it at. Do I want it to pop up in their classroom at 8 a.m.? Perhaps you have a flipped classroom going on at 9 a.m. You want the material to appear at 8:30 a.m. You can schedule this material to appear then. But since this is not a material that I want to share with my students, I can keep it as saved draft, or I can just discard this draft. Okay, so I'm going to keep it as scheduled for now, so that I can delete this later, because I don't want my students to get confused with this material. This is how it will appear in your stream at your classwork. It will not appear this way. You see, this has been posted. This is accessible to students. Students can visibly see this material. So that is why you can see the clear pop-up here. This is very grayish, isn't it? Because this is scheduled. So this is not in any of your students' classroom yet. It will only appear at the date and time you have assigned them to. All right. Okay. Now that is how you can assign classwork. But let me just go through further about assigning classwork. Okay, you also, if you notice next to add, you also can create materials using Google Docs, Google Slides, Google Sheets, drawings, or forms. So there's two options. If you have already created a Google Doc or a Google Slide in your Google Drive, then all you have to do is go to the add function and add them in. But for instance, you want to create something there and there, then all you have to do is go create, select whichever apps that you want to select to create your material. If it's slides or docs or sheets, then you just click on that and you can go on creating. Okay, so this will take me straight to Google Sheets. It will also open the Google Sheets for me. I can do whatever that I want to do, and then it will appear in the classwork that I am going to create. Okay, right. So that is how you can also create if you want to create materials there and there. Okay, that's about assignment. Okay, not going to have this. I'm not going to keep this there. All right, that's about assignment. Now, one last thing I would like to show you before we go to the end of the session is on how you can grade your students' work. Okay, let's see. I have, for instance, okay, I have students' work here that I have actually graded, and I have some that has turned in but I have not graded. Okay, so when you go to your students' classwork, okay, when you go to a particular topic, for instance, this project that I want to grade, I can view assignment, or I can go to whichever work that I've graded, or whichever one that is turned in. I'm going to view entire assignment. Now, what happens is in this view, you can see the instructions that I would have posted, okay, and the students who have turned in. Okay, you have to say turned in, okay, graded. So I have this few that has turned in and I've not graded. So let me just show you exactly how to grade this. Okay, I'm going to take this example. Okay, I'm going to open the attachment here. Okay, so this is my student Alicia's task. Okay, I'm not going to grade it formally. This is just to show you how I grade my assignments for you to get a picture. All right, so she has submitted images of her project. So each projects that I view, I can actually grade them individually, or if they have sent in a compilation, then you will be able to just open this. Okay, let me see if you can see that. Okay, I'm going to share this screen. Hang on, yeah. Okay, let me just show you this task. Okay, so this is how my students' work will look, right? And I can open this up with Kami. Okay, I'm going to share you my Kami screen. Okay, if you have not seen what is Kami, yesterday one of the educators shared on amazing extensions that you can use in your Google Apps for Education. So you can explore Kami. This is quite a friendly app as well. Okay, so it's processing my student's file. Just give it a few seconds for it to do so. Okay, now it's opening up the file. All right. So you will see your student's file appear here. Okay, I'm not going to do anything here. I'm going to just make this smaller so you'll be able to see. All right. Okay, so this is my student's work. Okay, what you can do using Kami is you can use a drawing function, get a red pen. I can just put a tick there, give it a date, say, for instance, today is 3rd July, and, give her a remark, or you can actually post a comment here. You can click on this and say, click on this and your comment box will appear on the right, and you can say a very good job, for instance. Okay, so this is an extension that you can use to actually grade your students' work. All right. Okay, say I have done this. I'm going to go back to my classroom page for me to show it with you. Yeah. Okay. Okay, now let's see. Okay, let me do that again. Concept, submission of work, share. Okay, so this is how I opened up Kami just now earlier. Okay, let me go back to my students' submission of work, which is this. Okay, let me just share this screen with you. Okay, let's go to share screen. Let me choose submission of project work. Okay, this is the page you will see, and you can do the same step for all the images your student has assigned back or turned back to you. Okay, and you can actually personalize the grade for this student. For instance, I would like to grade this student, say 50% for now. Okay, and then you can also post a personal comment to each and every one of the page your student has submitted. You can post a comment, good job, Alicia. Right? You can post it there and she'll be able to see your comments. All right. And once you're done, you can return this back to your student. I am not returning this yet because I've not really gone through all her project submission yet. So I can return this, or I can just move the cursors left and right. For instance, if I'm moving right, this will take me to my next student's submission. I can go on marking all my students' submission, and then I can return multiple submission. That means if I actually grade 10 students submission, I can return all 10 together. All right, so this will be easier because you don't have to go one and then come back, go one and come back. Use the arrows, you can move back and forth this way. Okay, so this was Alicia just now. I can go before that. This is Alia, for instance. I can go one student after the other and I can check what are the comments. Or for instance, for Alia, for instance, I've graded her mark, I've given her comments and all that. So all this is doable. You can edit any of this as you move along the cursor. And once you're ready, you can return multiple submission. Say, for instance, you do not want to return multiple submission. You want to return one student by one student, then no problem. You will see the return sign pop up here as you are checking one of your students' work. Once you are done checking the students' work, you can return. When you click return alone, it will only go back to that particular student's submission. It will not return everybody else's. Okay, so you have two options, whether you want to return this submission or you want to return multiple submissions. The choice is yours. Okay, so basically that is how you would grade a student's assignment. That is how you give comments to your student's assignment, and that is also how you can actually boost their confidence, boost their interaction with you, because they'll be able to read your comment and feel appreciated. They will feel like, okay, my teacher is actually feeling excited about the work that I've done, and she is complimenting me, or she's giving me areas of weakness that I can improvise and things like that, which is really needed when you're building a relationship with your students. All right. Okay, so that's about Google Classroom and how you can work in a very basic manner. If you have not started Google Classroom, I think this will be an amazing exposure to begin somewhere. Okay, take it slow, one at a time. You do not really have to go or stress yourself up on how am I to master everything in a day. No, no, no. One at a time. Start creating a classroom. Start engaging your students. Once you see your students appearing in your classroom, I tell you, that natural excitement will kick in and you will keep browsing through Google Classroom. All right. Before we move on any further, right, this is for you to get your e-cert. That will be tiny.cc/cert text. And my session today was Let's Google Your Classroom. Okay, I'm going to just stop sharing this, or I'm going to just keep this here that way. While I share with you, okay, let's just show that. Okay, you can also see that in my pop-up there. Okay, let's just have a look at those who are with me. Thank you so much to all of you who are with me. Thank you. Good afternoon. Good day to all of you. I hope this has been helpful to all of you, new teachers especially. I hope you enjoyed this session. And if you need more and you want me to share more on Google Classroom or other applications, just feel free to tell me, and I will be able to do more videos and upload them in my page. Do keep in touch for other upcoming sessions. Keep learning, keep exploring, and never, ever, ever give up. The first step is often the hardest, but as you keep going, it will become a breeze. So, all the best to all of you educators. Keep rocking, keep changing a student's life one at a time. Until we meet you again, stay connected 4.0, signing off. Teacher Sasi, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Bye bye.